the ego. Making it feel good. Too scared to just let it go. Too scared to just let it go. Tomorrow we build. Depends on the future we want, we can make it as real. Maybe we will, though. Give up the ego. Making it feel good. Too scared to just let it go. Too scared to just let it go.
Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start it again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start it again. We can start it again. We can start it.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, FDL community. It is a pleasure to be back once again with FDL Central, your hub of all things FDL. We have two very special guests with me this week to run through all of last week's action and look ahead to all of the final week of this season's FDL regular season. We have the
We're coming up.
absolute legend. That is Chris with a K. It's a pleasure to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back on here. I was here once before and I didn't follow
Mm-hmm.
the script, so I have the script this time and I am ready to obey by it.
He had the script last time. It's good to have you though. It's a pleasure to see you, and yeah, good to have you back on as well. We went through some playoffs, I believe, last time, so we get to go through some regular season games this time. You are on. Pleasure. And just below him, you will see him illuminated in a very lovely way. It is, of course, Ant from the Adept Griffins. How are you tonight, Ant?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be here. First time on FDL Central.
And we hope not the last. It's a lovely environment to be part of. We welcome you to our little community and chat as always. Please get involved with everything that we talk about. Head over and I will see those messages. And if you have any questions, we'll open it to the floor this week because I feel like it. Any questions for our guests, you're more than welcome to ask them, and it is up to me if I ask them to them or not because some of you guys are weird. We start as we do every week, going through talking to our guests about how they started with Rocket League, how they found competitive gaming and all that kind of stuff. So we'll start with Chris. Chris, do you remember the first time you picked up Rocket League and how your playing Rocket League converted into looking for the competitive scene?
Oh man, actually I do. I was a big fan of watching people before it came out on Xbox. I watched people like who was it? Neat Mike. I was a big fan of Neat Mike. Wolfless, who played with him, that whole F2 team that was made as a joke. That was the people I watched. And the first time I really got into competitive was with me and Drew, actually, my teammate in Elite League. We were looking for a third for a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
and we found a guy in ranked, and at the time we were all champ one. I mean, we were just screwing around, having a good time in ranked, and that well, it was season 5 of the RLCS. We made a run through, and we were like winners semifinals, almost making it to the top 32 teams in North America as champ ones. That was my run, and I've been doing it ever since. I love the competitive scene of Rocket League.
That is absolutely awesome, and certainly a great story, and one that you have built up talking about by the sounds of things, because that was very professionally done, very nice. Um, over switching sides then over to Ant. What about you? The first time you picked up Rocket League, do you remember when that was? And then how you took that into competitive play?
So, I originally downloaded Rocket League on my Xbox 360, I believe, way back
Mhm.
in the day. I think I
Wow,
was season 4 at the time.
old school, yeah,
But I played one match and then I never played again.
sure.
And then I just picked it up back in season 13
Mhm.
and have been playing since. I don't have like a real competitive thing like Chris does, but I like to hang out and play.
So,
Fun.
so yeah, you mentioned you're not as into the competitive scene, maybe, but I guess my question is, what drew you to the FDL then? What got you here?
Well, it's just a community, somewhere to find people to play with.
Mhm.
So nice and fun. And Chris is there.
It is nice and fun. That is for certain. Okay, so that is a little bit of background about our wonderful guests. We will go into both of your teams now, um, or a bit of your background in the FDL specifically. So, Chris, obviously you've been with this league since its inception, since day one. For you, how's it been watching this league grow and evolve since you joined?
Oh man, it's actually been kind of it's weird because back then every player that's in the upper echelons of the league, I can see all of these players grow because I've always been in the top league. It kind of sucks because I'm always surrounded by people that are better than me, but I get to
Mm.
watch all these people from season 1 who were 900 MMR, 1000 MMR now compete in Star League, in the upper echelon of expert. It's fantastic to see. I get to watch all of these players grow and just get better. I mean, Pro, he was like a 700 MMR player when he joined. Now he's one of the best in Star League. Michael, he's been there as well, captain of the Stallions. I mean, it's just so weird seeing all of these people get better around me when I've been 1800 MMR since season 9 or season 12. I'm getting old and they're gonna beat me eventually.
Absolutely, but it's cool to see that progression, right, from players that you've seen, from right down, maybe in the lower edges of ranked play, right the way up to today, which is really really cool. So you picked up the Monkeys in season 2. You were with a different team in season 1, and you've been with them for 3 seasons straight now. So how do you think this season's Monkeys rosters, all right the way through the leagues, stack up against the rosters of old, rosters of previous 2 seasons?
Well, as the Monkeys owner, I have to pride ourselves because up until this season, we've made every single playoff. So 100% chance to make it, but we
Nice.
also have that 0% chance of winning a playoff match so far. Hopefully,
Mhm.
that is going to change this season as we have finally broken the streak with that. Our adept team, unfortunately, cannot make the playoffs anymore.
Mm.
But our other teams are all going 6-4, and we're starting to finally end that 5-5 streak of just barely being good enough to, you know what, maybe we're all right now. We can do this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the playoffs match up against the Monkeys.
Good stuff. Well, it is a pleasure to have you on tonight, and thank you very much for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to come and join us. We switch sides over onto the Ant side. Um, Obviously, you've been with us since season 3, and last season you were with the Eagles.
Yep.
And now you've been given this GM role with this brand new franchise, the Griffins. How has it been setting up these brand new teams, watching your rosters play, feeling that kind of ownership? How does that feel?
Well, I wasn't the original GM of the Griffins. I only
Sure.
picked it up last weekend, I believe. Right,
Hmm.
Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've only had to really pick up one player,
Hmm.
but other than that, I mean, I've been the captain for the Adept team the entire season,
Hmm.
and we were undefeated until 3 weeks ago. So I mean, it's been fun.
Hmm.
Always a fun time. Uh,
So, sounds like the dream. Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff. So, I guess a question off the back of that then, you've only just picked up GM. Do you intend to carry that GM role forwards into the future, or do you think this is just a for this season, and then maybe think about something else kind of situation?
I think I will. I'll keep it next season. I think. I mean,
Okay.
I was.
Hmm.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Next season, I'm gonna probably continue being the GM.
Nice. That is wonderful to hear. Um, so your Adept League, as you mentioned, is looking pretty good for a playoff spot. Um, who in Adept League do you think is your biggest competition for the championship?
Biggest
I want to
competition.
call someone out.
Well, I haven't looked too much into the Terra conference, but in the
Mhm.
Flight conference, it's got to be the Eagles. It's got to be.
Very, very good team, the Eagles. Obviously, KJ Southpaw and Debbie, great players, all of them in their own right. So, you a bit concerned, or do you think you've got enough to get past them?
Oh, I come on, man. We're gonna get past,
Ah,
no
easy,
matter what.
easy. Okay. Well, as again, thank you very much for joining us. I know you rushed over to get onto the podcast tonight, so thank you very much for joining us. I look forward to hearing your in-depth analysis as we get into the games a little bit later. Speaking of getting into the games, I think it's about that time that we do just that. So we start with the recaps of the previous week, and we can get things going with the Origin League. Oh, yes, the wonderful teams are showing on stream. So we can get into this one. Since we do not have any Origin players on our panel today, we are going to breeze through the results and we will talk about anything that we can talk about after we have given the results. The Monkeys beat the Colts 3-0. The Huskies, sorry, I don't actually know what the Huskies coach's score was. We didn't know, did we, Chris?
No, that match results is still yet to come in.
Still yet to come in. Unicorns and Dragons is to be played this week, so keep an eye out for that one. And the Seagulls swept the Griffins 3-0. I apologize to Ant. Chris, Origin League looking a bit interesting. What do you think about these results here?
I just think this shows how close that the league is becoming. Normally, at the start of the season, you always see a lot of 3-0s, a lot of interesting results. Some teams come out real hot, but as the season goes on, teams start to get more acquainted with each other, play styles. I mean, you always see people shoot up in MMR towards the end of the season, and we're looking at that right now. I mean, Barnsey, J-Man, Saucy on the Monkeys, they had a rough start to the season. They were bottom of Terra, and right now they're they're the top of they're leading their conference, and you know it's very interesting to see that Unicorns Dragons match will be one to watch out for though, because Unicorns, they're bringing it around. I mean, they're one of those teams that second half of the season run. If they can break into that top 3 in their conference, well, they're gonna steal a playoff spot.
Yeah, no kidding. Ant, talk to me about some of the players in Origin League because I know you have a good experience with quite a few of these players. So who in here are you looking at and thinking these guys are gonna storm playoffs?
Well, I being the GM now, I always have to look at my boys.
Sure, of
We
course.
actually just picked up a new top salary. We
Hmm.
picked up Elite Melvin, and I don't know if you've checked or not, but if you go check the Clips channel in Discord, he's some nice clips going in there.
Okay.
So now he'll be playing with Omen during the playoffs, I believe. Yes. So I
Hmm.
think I gave Omen the full control of that decision. I think it'll be a good run for them.
Mm.
Um, the Unicorns are making a good comeback this end of the or second half of the season.
Yeah.
Uh, what else?
No, you're right. I mean, you got to look at the. Sorry if I took
Oh, you're
bucket,
good.
but unicorns are currently 4-4. They still have 2 matches to play, so they're a bit of an unknown quantity going into this playoff run. Does that kind of concern you because they still have 2 matches to play and they've not played those 9 games? That maybe that, as Chris said, they're going to steal a playoff spot, maybe from your boys who are, at best going to finish 6-4.
Um, well, I have a little insider information on the Unicorns because Achilles is actually one of my friends in real life.
Okay,
He just went back home to Mexico,
right.
so I don't know if he'll be playing the rest of the season.
Ooh. Ooh, okay. Your place for all things FDL. We are dropping news out here. We are dropping, you know, very, very good things. So possibly some interesting things to talk about there. Okay. Um, question to both of you. If there's anything else you want to talk about in Origin, please speak now. Otherwise, we will move on.
Well, all I gotta say is that Flight Conference this season has looked so much better than Terra. We could just be looking at Monkey, the lone Terra Conference. Um, what's the word I'm looking for?
Representative.
Representatives. Thank you. Yeah. So
Hmm.
Monkeys. I hope they're backed by the Coyotes, Colts, and Huskies because they are gonna need it with those stacked rosters on Flight.
Okay. Very, very interesting. And anything else?
Um, can't say much, but Origin is always unpredictable.
That is generally the rule. You can never tell what's going to happen next week with Origin. That has proven itself since I have been making predictions on this show. We can move on to Adept League. We have quite a lot to get through. So let's start with the top. Coyotes going 3-1 down to the Monkeys. This was Burn One Sun and Gurgling taking on Blue and Lil Rigger. We'll go straight to Ant. These guys are in Terror. Obviously, you are over in Flight, but do you know these boys? Do you know anything about them?
I know a
Can you
little
give
bit.
us
I've
any?
played a couple of them.
Okay,
Uh,
what's up?
hmm,
Hmm. Hmm.
it is definitely an interesting matchup. I don't think I've ever seen Blue play. I've seen a little bit of Burn. I've seen Gurgling play and Low Rigger. Uh, that's just it's interesting. It's an interesting lineup.
Hmm. Is
But
uh is 3-1 to the Monkeys, considering what you've seen of Lil Rigger and Gurgling, an expected scoreline, or do you think it was maybe be a bit closer or further apart than that?
it sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Very
Yeah, I
nice,
don't.
Chris. I bet you think it sounds about right.
I mean, okay. So the start of the Adept Monkey season, it was shaky. We went through major roster changes, but
Mhm.
Blue and Lil Rigger have been honestly inseparable, trying to get them to to play matches. They love playing with each other,
Mhm.
and that's something that I love to see. I mean, they every chance they get, they're like, "Hey, are you on? Hey, I'm on. Let's play the tournament." Whatever it is, those
Mhm.
two have been honestly why the Monkeys had a great second half of the season.
Absolutely, and they're showing it in this particular game. 3-1 against Coyotes is no mean feat. The Coyotes are a very, very good team. So for them to get that win is pretty big for them. We move on to the Rams going 3-1 down to the Huskies. Miller in his first game of the week that we're going to talk about. More on that later. And Swanson going 3-1 over Dark Cotto and Executioner. Chris, talk to me about this particular game. What do we know about these boys?
I mean, just looking at it, Cotto is one of those players who I don't. He was brought in late for the Rams, and this man is one of those prodigies we saw last season who didn't really get to show up to his full potential for what he could do. I
Mhm.
mean, he was been everywhere, and maybe if he was on this roster a little bit earlier in the season, then he could have had a great second, a great run for this team. But
Mhm.
given the circumstances, I mean, Huskies, they just look unstoppable right now. They're 7-2 sitting right now. So Rams had an uphill battle to begin with, and I think that result goes as expected.
Mhm. Ant, would you agree? Do you think this result probably goes the way you expected it to go? No surprises
Yeah,
here.
it's about right. I've played with Miller. Miller's really good.
Mhm.
Uh, Dark Cotto and Executioner. I've played with both of them. They might just not have the chemistry yet that
Mhm.
Miller and Swanson do. Just a tough call.
Sure, absolutely. Miller to expert next year, Chris. What do you think? Do we think it's time, or do we think
Well,
he's still got a bit to go?
funny you should say that because he was expert last season, and
Ah.
that ranked MMR got the best of him and just couldn't bump him up anymore. So I would say he is one of the probably the best player in Adept League. I'm sorry you have to hear that, Ant, but he is, I would say, above the level that other teams are because Miller, man, he could do it all on the field, and come playoff times, I don't know if there is anyone that could stop him.
Speaking of playoff teams and teams that maybe are struggling to be stopped, we've got to talk about the Vipers. Rico and Styx continuing their partnership and getting a 3-1 win over a pretty informed Gators team of Kin and Crusher. Um, Rico and Styx going over Kin and Crusher 3-1. Does that surprise you?
Doesn't surprise me, but it does worry me a little bit because last season, the Eagles lost to Rico and kind of Sticks.
Rico and
Kind of
Styx,
Sticks.
kind of. Yeah, I remember that whole
Kind of.
situation. Yeah.
But Ken and Crusher. Yeah, that looks about right.
Oh, okay. Looks about right. Chris, Kin and Crusher looking at sitting on a 12-3 and a 12 against Rico 12-5 and Sticks at an 11-9. That's quite close salaries actually. So would we maybe have expected this one to go to 5?
I think it definitely should have went to 5 because both of these teams are very strong in their players. I mean, last
Mhm.
season champion Enrico and Sticks, and Kin, who hasn't had the best run. I don't think he's actually ever made it to a playoff match. He's
Wow.
always fallen short just by one series. Actually, I think it was one game point, like one
Mhm.
series individual game that separated Gators from making it in season 2. So it's definitely interesting to see, but Gators kind of falling apart in the second half of the season with that loss. Gators looked real good, and I think all the other teams are now starting to catch up to them.
Yeah, Adept's looking really close, which obviously is beneficial for the viewer, but not too beneficial for the teams in themselves. And next, now the next game I'm very, very excited to talk about. And I'm going to tell you for why. There's a man in a Depths League. His name is Scooteroo. Okay? He has been talked about quite a lot. He is an absolute legend of the scene. We bigged him up before the season started. He went 0-8 with his Penguins this season. He was not having a good time, really, really struggling going into week 9, but they have been able to do what they didn't think could be done. The Penguins have won 3-2-1 against the Seagulls in a depth league. Get the party poppers out, get the party hats on. I need a slice of cake. This is absolutely brilliant. Chris, this has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Man, I have been a big fan of Scooteroo ever since he joined the league. I mean, this man is something special.
Mhm.
He doesn't when he joined the league, he didn't have a fear of any player. He would just go, and that's where I like to see him at. And him finally getting his first win. The last 2 seasons, he started off last season on fire. They
Mm.
kind of fell apart towards the end. This season, rough. It was real bad, and seeing him
Mm-hmm.
finally get a win, it feels good.
It feels
Just
good.
just that little motivation to keep
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah. A reminder to everyone that even when you're at your lowest point, you can still get W's. And that is the story of Scootery this season. It is an inspiration to everyone at every level of Rocket League. And doing this against the Seagulls has another level of importance, right? Because the Seagulls were flying high. They're looking like a great team this season. So for them to go down to a winless Penguins is surely quite the shock.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
No, he does know. He's on mute. He's turned his mic off. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. You can see Ant talking on stream. It's fine. That
That
was a
better?
really thought. Yeah, there you go. That was a really
Okay.
thought-provoking question as well. I was quite sad about that. Go on, please.
So it is quite a shock to me because the Seagulls are one of the only teams that were able to beat my Adept Griffins,
Hmm.
and the defeated Penguins were able to beat the Seagulls.
Hmm.
It's it's wild.
Yeah, it's certainly a shock. I can't remember if I predicted it last week or not. I feel like I always predict Scoot, and he let me down
You
8 times
got
in
it.
a row. But I think this week we got it.
I think it was
So
week 6. We were
yeah.
gonna actually throw the game to give them their first win,
Oh really?
but we were undefeated at the time. We couldn't do that.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I had to keep the undefeated streak going. I understand.
But do love Scoot. Scoot's a good guy.
Absolutely, good for him to get a win. Moving on to one person on this panel's biggest game of the entire week. Ant, of course, played for the Griffins this week, and they were able to take down the unicorns of Fruipski and Daddy Grimmy in 3-2 fashion. This game went to 5. Were you sweating?
Sorry?
Were you sweating? Were you worried?
Was I worried? Oh boy. No, I don't think I was. I don't generally
No.
really get worried or sweat when I play Rocket League. I might have been a little on edge, maybe telling Nolan to quit playing around, but I don't.
Mhm.
I think we were pretty calm the entire time. It was a good game though.
Absolutely. Chris, the only 5 game series in a Depths League this week. Should Ant have been worried? This Unicorns team are looking really, really good.
I mean, there's always. I mean, if if I'm a betting man and I bet on some of these series, I would have bet on Griffins to win and Seagulls to win.
Mhm.
And Seagulls got upset. It easily could have happened to the Griffins as well, but Griffins being on 7-2 record, being at the top, I can't see why they wouldn't be worried or anything, but anytime it goes to game 5, that is anyone's series at that point. That is always
Mhm.
got to be on someone's mind. Once you get to the penultimate match, that's when you got to start. Okay, we need to step up our game. And Ants can, and Ant and the Griffins, they can do that 9 times out of 10.
Mhm. They absolutely can, and they showed that this past week. Another team who showed that they can absolutely upset the apple cart, if you will, and show up is the Owls. Shay and Lewis getting the 3-1 win over Southpaw and Lil Debbie. I know KJ's in the chat. It's his old Eagles team, and they went down this week. Chris, that's a pretty big result.
Yeah, especially when playoffs are on the line. I know all of the teams are confirmed at this point, but
Mhm.
that seeding, it really matters because if you're the last place in Terra, then or in the last place in flight, you're playing the second best team in Terra, and that is something that you might want to avoid if you're South, that Eagles team where you might be facing the Vipers again, and they beat them last season in the playoffs. I don't know if they want to relive that nightmare again. Avoid the teams you want until the finals. That's when you want to beat them. That's when it feels good.
Mhm. Ants, 2 great teams in your conference right here, going toe to toe. Owls over the Eagles. Was that expected? Do you think, or do you think it was close? It could have gone either way.
You could have given me any amount of money. I would have bet that the Eagles were going to win.
Wow.
So
Okay.
this was quite a shock to me. And
Mm.
now I believe the Owls are 7-2.
No,
63.
No, 6-3. So if they beat us this week, we'll have the same record, and I
Yes.
believe Chris, Griffin's stat should be higher, right?
yeah, Griffins are 7-2 right now.
Okay.
Oh man, playoff scenarios.
I have
If
some.
you guys get swept, then the Owls overtake you for number 1 seed. So
Okay.
just don't get swept, and you'll be fine.
Don't
So I
get
just got to
swept.
win one game.
Win a game.
There we go.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a big turning point in Adept to me
Mm.
personally, at least.
Absolutely. I just want to go a little bit in detail on that. What is it about the Eagles or the Owls that would have made you really believe that the Eagles had that before going into this game?
Well, being an former Eagle, I played quite a bit with Southpaw, quite
Hmm.
a bit with KJ. Absolutely loved playing with both of them. They fit my play style perfectly. And then Southpaw started playing like me, and it got really awkward. But I figured that they were going to be the team to beat this season.
Hmm.
And I still do. And Lil Debbie's great too. It's
Little
just a
Debbie is
really,
brilliant.
really hard, I guess, team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, with that said, we can draw a line under Adept and we can move on to our largest league, the Expert League. And because we are moving on to the Expert League and none of our panelists are in the Expert League, we can run through the scores and have a chat about what that means. Here we go. Frank, Carnival, and Mark get the 3-0 victory over Bondo and Panda of the Hornets. The Huskies beat the Rams 3-2. Once again, Miller stepping in for the Huskies with Mythicality versus Mark and Generic Bronze. Merc for Hire and Tuxedo Marks of the Vipers got swept by the Gators of Robot and Burrito. Robot streaming for us tonight. Thank you very much. Get those brooms out. Not sure about the Colts and the Coyotes. Chris, Expert League Colts and Coyotes. Do we have a score?
No, they're still scheduling.
Still scheduling. Good. Penguins got a forfeit victory over the Owls this week. The Griffins of Brother and Atlas won 3-1 over Hawkish and Skybird of the Dragons. The Hydras swept the Unicorns, Cody and KC going down to Kaysen and Amazon. And the Eagles got a forfeit victory over the Seagulls. Chris, Expert League, our biggest league. Talk to me about how this league is shaping up playoffs wise.
Well, in this week, that week 9 was a teller for a lot of teams for playoffs. There's a few teams confirmed, but those are only the teams at the top that are confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Monkeys, Huskies, they're solid in it. They're gonna make it. Hydras, Eagles, they're gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
Owls actually forfeiting to the Penguins hurts them a lot because that was the difference in going 5-4 and 4-5 when their last match is against the Seagulls, which they should be able to break out and win, but they can't, at this point, you can't afford many losses, and 3-0 in a forfeit fashion is not doing any justice to them.
No, not at all. Ant, are there any players in Expert that you recognise, and maybe any shocks that you can see through this list of results here?
I'm actually surprised that the Griffins beat the Dragons.
Okay.
I've played a lot with Hawkish back in the day.
Mm.
And he was always getting better, unless he slumped out and he's just not that good anymore. I mean,
The
that just
problem with
shocked me.
Hawkish, the problem with Hawkish is he's actually had to play this season,
Yeah,
which is tough. I completely understand when you haven't played for a while and then you have to jump into the server, like that's a tough one. So, he's found it hard. I'm misery compiling. I don't mean it hawkish. It's all love. It's all love. It's all love. But I'll be honest. I really thought the Dragons Expert League looked really good going into this season. But yeah, I mean, also Brother. We know about Brother on the Griffins, and you will know him even more than me.
yeah,
But he is a brilliant, brilliant player to watch.
oh yeah.
So it partially doesn't surprise me at the end of the day. We talked about one forfeit. We had two in this one. I want to talk quickly about Miller stepping up to expert, Chris, because Miller and Mythicality beating the Rams surely shows us that Miller is at this level, doesn't it?
I mean, I said it earlier. This man missed out on Expert League by very close margin. I mean, 12.9 salary, that's 0.1 off, and that's even like that could be one MMR away from missing it. And winning 3-2, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. He's practically an Expert League player at that point.
Mhm.
But I think that just kind of shows how teams stack up. I mean, Rams, they're sitting at 4. They were sitting at 4-4 going into that match, and the Huskies at 5-3. So that was a match that the Rams really needed to win. So is it really on Miller doing great, or is that on the Rams maybe not performing when they needed to?
Maybe having a bit of tough time with the pressure of the game
Yeah.
situation. Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, Anything else that we want to discuss in this particular league before we move on to stuff?
It doesn't look like it. That,
No,
that pretty
We're all
much
good.
sums up Expert League being
pretty
as
much.
close as it is.
Expert League is a very close league, one to watch going into playoffs. That is for sure. Anything can happen. Moving on to Star League. Oh boy. Once again, we do not have any Star League players on our panel, so let's go through this then. Gators go 3-2 over the Colts. Stoobs and the Llama taking it to Michael and Chris P. The Vipers of Chronotos and Covius take out the Rams in 3-1 fashion. J-Dubs and Raspberries representing the Rams. A forfeit victory for the Hydras over the Penguins sees them win 3-0. And the Owls completely sweep the Dragons 3-0. Magic and Cruising Kid over the top of Wyveria and Pro. Ant, do you recognize the players in this particular league? And if so, what are we looking at for some of these players?
I have no idea.
No idea at all.
I don't know if I've ever even spoken to any of these people besides Michael, I think.
Oh, Michael's in chat, so good to see him. Chris, then, talk to me about this particular league. Then this is our
Oh.
joint smallest league, obviously, with 8 teams. What do these results mean for playoffs?
Oh my gosh. Well, I got to get up for this one
You
because,
go. You
Stoobs
take
is
a lap.
he's got me heated. He did this last season when he went 1-4 the start of the season, and now he's did it
Mhm.
again, and now he's 5-4. He's in the
Yep.
best spot for playoffs, and I can't believe he's done the same thing again, and it's worked twice. This has got me livid. I swear. How can he do this 2 seasons in a row, and all these teams allow it to happen? It's crazy. Colts, Michael, I know you're in the chat. How could you
Yeah.
let this happen? And also, Rams, they started off the season real hot. I mean, they were looking good. They swept the Colts, I
Hmm.
think. They swept someone that was good. And I was like, wow, you know what? J-Dubs, welcome back to the playoffs, man. No, didn't happen this time. He got beat by the Vipers, who, on the record, they look like the worst team in Terra. And you know what? Rightfully so. But they beat them, so I don't know what's happening in Star anymore. Hydras and Owls, they're locked for the playoffs. They're looking good, but all of Terra, other than Colts, who have secured it off a win differential, congrats, you still lost to the Gators. But hey, you know what? Star is crazy, and thus I conclude.
Please, someone clip that. I would really like that as a clip. That would be really nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate the monologue from Chris. That was wonderful, and summed up Star very very nicely. So, um, I think we can just move on. I don't have anything. I think the only point I really want to bring up in Star is Wyveria and Pro, just because I love these boys. They had a great season in Expert last season, and they just quite haven't hit the ground running in Star. The step up has been quite drastic for them. They found it really tough. Chris, is that something we expected when people get promoted, especially as a duo with that chemistry?
Well, okay. Well, Pro is one of those players that I talked about in the beginning, where
Sure.
he started at the bottom. I mean, he
Yeah.
was playing for Rico and Styx in season 1 as their lowest salary player. Pro was as low as you can get.
Hmm.
And now he's competing in Star League. And honestly, their record does not do him justice at all. He is that player that can pull off 1v2 plays in Star League, which 1500s is no joke to 1v2, but he can do it along with,
Hmm.
players like Feed who are crazy, Water, they're just nuts, and Pro competes with them. So that I mean that and Pro and Wyveria are not a bad duo. They complement each other real well.
Hmm.
I don't know where it's gone wrong for them this season. I really don't. But a 3-0 sweep against them, it really hurts.
It does, and they're staring down the barrel of a 2-7 record, which cannot have been the what most people were thinking about when they started this season. So I know we're focusing on this team quite a lot, but it's just because I think they're underperforming to the level that we expected them to. So I just quickly want to ask Chris and Ant if you have any suggestions here. Going into next season for this Dragons team, we know they can perform. We know they've got it in them. What do they need to unlock? What is it that they need to figure out in this particular league that will get them to that next level? Chris, if you got something for that.
Get them into the next level, man. I don't know a bigger grinder than Pro, in all
Hmm.
honesty. Um Wyverius, I don't want to call him out because I love Wyveri. He's a good friend of mine. But
Sure.
maybe it's a little bit of more respect to teams, I want to say. Don't try to go into it more like, oh, I've got me and Pro. We're the best. I mean, who can stop us?
Right.
I think they need to, okay, we're here now. We're 2-7. Maybe it's time to start taking teams a little bit more seriously. This isn't a little joyride where we
Mm.
can't win like we did in Expert League. They were the champions last season.
They
So
were.
this isn't a joyride, and they looked the best team in expert last season on the Dragons.
Sure,
They did, but
they did.
Star is is that stepping ground. I mean, a lot of these teams are very close in record. It's no joke at this point, and maybe it's just a wake up call for them.
Sure. And is that something you would echo? Is there anything else you'd like to add on to that, or are we gonna
I
gonna
think that Chris
shift
covered it
through?
perfectly.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely right. Make sure we look for um opportunities to grow always, but yeah, have a nice bit of humbleness to your game. Make sure that you take teams seriously. Don't just go balls to the wall all the time. Maybe rein it back a bit. Interesting, very interesting conversation. And finally, we talk about Chris's league, the Elite League. Um, in all honesty, there's not a huge amount to go through here. And the reason there isn't a huge amount to go through here is because the Rams got a forfeit victory over the Vipers, the Hydras got a forfeit victory over the Penguins, the Dragons got a forfeit victory over the Eagles, and the Owls got a forfeit victory over the Unicorns. 4 out of the 6 games in Elite League this week were forfeits. The only 2 games that we have to talk about, first is the Monkeys taking on the Hornets, which congratulations, Chris. The Monkeys came out 3-2 victors in that one. Big win. And the Huskies taking out the Colts in probably one of the games of the season. Huskies and Colts have looked so close for the entire season. 3-2 to Lottie Lettuce and Tater. Those two are cracked. Milio and Saws. Those two are cracked. So we'll get on to that. For now, Chris, talk to me about Flight League. What's happening?
Oh man, I mean, Elite has been. I don't want to. It's my league. I love the competition that comes at the top, but I was really disappointed in the teams this season.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Terra teams, they have all really been good with forfeits up until this last couple weeks, and I think that is due to the fact that a lot of teams, they were settled when we beat the Hornets. If we lost that, then it was still open for all of those teams at the bottom. But when we beat them, I don't know, maybe that's just kind of it demotivates people that we can't make it anymore. So what's the point? And that kind
Sure.
of hurts me. I will say on that Colts Huskies game that
Mm,
it was a goal line save away from being a Colts 3-1 victory in overtime. I mean, Tater has showed me clips from that match on stream, and if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it because some of those highlights are nuts. But that's the first time they've played off. The Huskies won in 3-1, and I didn't think that did
yeah.
the Colts justice. Colts are a
No.
great team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this time 3-2 it looked much better, and I think that's due to the fact that Tater stepped up in that final game for them. And it's one of these two teams playing for the championship at this point. Hydras are coming in as the highest team out of flight, but I don't know if they'll be able to do it, especially with seeding coming out. Colts are going to be on that side of the bracket, so I'll tip my hat to you, Hydras, if you can beat the Colts. But given the Titans in the Terra teams, it's an uphill battle for even the top of flight at this point.
Yeah, you are not kidding. I mean, I was lucky enough to cast the Huskies Colts 1 back earlier in the season, and oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the highlights from that game, go watch them. If you haven't seen the highlights from this 5 game series, go and watch that as well. This is the top level of FDL, and it will prove to you why it is. But we also have to speak, obviously, very highly of the wonderful Monkeys taking out the Hornets, but it was a very, very close game. Chris, 3-2. Do you think that flatters the Hornets, or do you think it was a close game and you had to grind to get the win there?
Oh, we definitely had to grind. I'll say Ricky is one of those players who I hate playing against because
Hmm,
he is just that good of a player. I mean,
sure.
him and Yeezy last season on the Owls, That was the team I thought was going to win it all. They work very good with each other, and neither of them coming back as starters this season kind of hurt me to watch because I love both of those boys. They might not know me and call me a random, but I love playing against both of them because they bring the highest level of play you can ask for.
Hmm.
And I think that 3-2 definitely we got away with murder, I would say, against the Hornets. Because they looked better. I'll give it to them. They look so good. I can't even remember how that game ended, but I feel like it was I do remember actually. We gave up a goal with either 2 or 9 seconds left in game 5 and it brings it to overtime. And then I that game 5 I looked terrible and I mean holy do not watch that back at any cost. That was on the B stream by the way. Don't look at it. It was bad.
Yeah,
Um
here's a link for it and everything.
good. By the way, you can find it here.
Yeah,
But
right.
it was just a really dumb goal that went in and I was shocked. There's many goals that like do not shock me. I was shocked that it went in.
Hmm.
And yeah, they should have won. In all honesty, they were the better team. We just came away with the win.
That is very noble of you and very humble, and we appreciate that. But it was you who managed to get the win and push forth your playoff hopes. I believe you can still make playoffs.
Oh yeah, we're all teams are confirmed for Elite League right now. We got the third seed in Terra because
Third season, Sarah.
we got the Colts and the Huskies above us, and well, we
Sure.
should have beat Colts the first time around, but I threw. But we don't talk about that. You can find it here, but we're not going to talk about it.
That's a bold statement.
Really
Bold.
statement.
Very, very bold. Okay. So with Elite League discussed, and the flight teams shamed, we can move on to predictions. We have 10 minutes of FDL Central remaining, and so we are going to do FDL Central pattern punting rapid fire predictions. Okay, one word answers. I'm going to ask a team. I'm going to say the two teams involved. I'm going to say their score, their records, and then I'm going to say a person on the panel. You will reply to me with one answer. I will then say the other person on the panel. They will reply to me with one answer. I will give my answer. We will move on to the next game. It's very, very simple. Origin League. Here we go. Coyotes 3 and 5 versus the Colts 3 and 6. Ant.
Coyotes.
Chris.
Colts,
Colts for me. Griffins 5 and 4 taking on the Dragons 5 and 3. Chris.
Dragons,
Ant.
Griffins.
Griffins for me. Huskies 2 and 6 versus Monkeys 6 and 3. Chris.
Monkeys,
And
Huskies.
crazy Monkeys. Unicorns 4 and 4 versus the Seagulls 6 and 3. Chris.
Unicorns,
Ant.
Seagulls.
Seagulls for me. Good. Moving on to Adept League, I should make a quick public announcement that the Rams have already forfeited to the Monkeys. They finish on 0 and 10 in Adept League. That is official. And the Monkeys finish on 5 and 5. That is official Adept League news. As for the rest of the teams, we go rapid fire once more. Coyotes 4 and 5 versus the Gators 6 and 3. Ant.
Gators.
Chris.
Gators,
Gators. Vipers 6 and 3 versus Huskies 7 and 2. Chris.
Huskies,
Ant.
Vipers.
Vipers for me. Eagles 6 and 3 versus the Seagulls 4 and 5. Ant.
Eagles.
Chris.
Eagles,
Eagles. Penguins 1 and 8 versus Unicorns 3 and 6. Chris.
Unicorns,
Ant.
Penguins.
I'm going Penguins. Let's go Scoot. Owls 6 and 3 versus Griffins 7 and 2. Chris.
Owls,
Ant.
Griffins.
Owls for me. Okay. Moving on to the Expert League. We have all sorts going on in the chat. It's all happening. It's all kicking off. Okay, I'm going to make this one a little bit interesting, and I require one prediction of a 5-game series from all members of the panel. Okay, choose a game in which you think it will be a 5-game series, and then say that when it comes to your turn. Okay. Here we go. With an added twist of a 5-game series, Expert League, Monkeys 6-3 versus the Gators 5-4. Chris,
Monkeys in game 5.
there's the 5-game series. Ant,
Monkeys in game 5.
wow, we're already calling it. Monkeys, I'm not going to go for game 5.
Oh, I thought we were doing it every time. Oops.
Oh, no, just one. Just one game.
Never mind, it's monkeys.
Monkeys. Coyotes 6-2 versus the Rams 4-5. Ant.
Coyotes.
Coyotes. Chris.
Coyotes.
Coyotes as well. Vipers 4-5 versus the Hornets 0-9. Chris.
Hornets.
Ant.
Vipers.
Hornets. Why not? Huskies 6-3 versus Colts 4-4. Ant.
Colts in game 5.
There's this game 5. Chris.
Colts.
Huskies for me. Unicorns 5-4 versus Griffins 5-4. Chris.
Unicorns.
Ant.
Griffins.
Griffins in game 5 for me. I think that one goes for 5 games for me. Dragons 3-6 versus Hydras 7-2. Chris.
Hydras.
Ant.
Hydras.
Hydras as well. Owls 4-5 versus Seagulls 2-7. Ant.
Owls.
Chris.
Owls.
Seagulls. Let's go. Eagles 7-2 versus Penguins 3-6. Chris.
Eagles.
Ant.
Eagles.
Eagles as well for me. Okay, here we go. Star League. We're moving on up. We're getting there. No 5-game necessary since we've only got 6 teams in this league. So if you would rather not, you cannot. If you would like to, you can still make an extra prediction if you so fancy. The Colts sitting at 5-4, taking on the Rams 4-5. Chris.
Colts.
Ant.
Rams.
Rams. I want to see both of those teams go 5-5. That'd be fun for me. Dragons 2-7 versus Hydras 7-2. Ant.
Hydras.
Chris.
Hydras.
Hydras. Yeah. Vipers 4-5 versus Gators 5-4. Chris.
Oh, Gators.
Ant.
Vipers.
Gators for me. Owls 6-3 versus Penguins 3-6. Ant.
Owls.
Chris.
Penguins.
Ooh. Owls for me. I'm pretty confident. And finally of FDL Central this week, we have to predict the Elite League. Do I want anything special for this particular prediction?
No, because half of them will be forfeits anyway.
True. Okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna predict Terra League as Terra Conference as normal. And then for Flight, we're gonna predict which team forfeits. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. Regular predictions for Terra then. Vipers 2-7 versus the Monkeys 5-4. Chris.
Monkeys, because Vipers forfeit.
Ant.
Vipers.
I'm also going Vipers because Chris cannot finish a season that's not 5-5.
But the Vipers are forfeiting.
Vipers, if you are in this call right now, I need you to
Oh my
not
gosh.
forfeit because I'm in Chris's head rent free right now.
I need a winning record. I need one.
He's not going to get it, even for the season. Come on, Vipers, I believe in you. You can do it. I have faith. Huskies 9-0 versus the Hornets 2-7. In fact, in this one, we're not even going to do it. I'm going to count down from 3. We're all going to say the same answer at the same time. Huskies 9-0 versus Hornets 2-7. 3, 2, 1. Huskies.
Huskies.
Correct. Good.
Correct.
Yes. Colts 7-2 versus the Rams 2-7. And
Colts.
yeah, Chris,
Rams.
you brave man. Colts. I knew someone was going to do that as well, which is why I didn't do the 3-2-1 for that particular game. I knew it was coming.
Had
Right.
to represent my boy Prosperity.
I respect it. I respect it. So, in flight, it will come as no surprise to any of our viewers that a game has already been forfeited. The Unicorns have taken the win against the Eagles. So the Unicorns finished the season on 2-8. The Eagles finished the season on 4-6. Out of the Dragons and the Penguins, Chris, who's forfeiting?
Actually, I don't think that one will be a forfeit. I think that will actually get played.
That's not the game we're playing, though.
Oh, okay. Penguins will forfeit.
Penguins will forfeit, sure. And
Yeah, Penguins forfeit.
yeah, I think Penguins forfeit as well. Hydras 8-0 versus Owls 3-6. Do I need to ask who's going to forfeit that game?
No.
No. Sorry, Owls. Sucks. Sucks, but that is the situation that we're dealing with. So we have made it in one piece to the end of FDL Central this week. Is there anything that either of you two would like to bring up for any of the games coming this week? Maybe you would like to call a particular team or person out who you are playing, or I will give you the other option of predicting your champions for your specific league. So Adept for Ant, Elite for Chris. Ant, let's go to you first. Any comments you'd like to make? Anyone you'd like to ego, or who would you like to predict as the winner of the Adepts League this season?
Griffins, championship winners, undefeated throughout the playoffs.
Big call. It's a big call, but I respect the confidence. Chris, what about you?
Well, I don't wanna go to Elite League because those teams suck, but Vipers, do not let the Gators win. Do not give them the satisfaction of going 5-0 second half of league play. Don't do it. Don't. Just please don't. I
Just,
don't want to
just,
see it. I'll never hear the end of it from Stoops. That's it.
just, just stay on your goal line.
Yeah.
Don't let anything in, and annoy them. That's the idea. Okay. I would like to see it from Stoops. I'll be quite honest with you. He did it last season, and it looked great. So why not? Why not again? But for Chris's sanity, let's see if we can avoid that. Okay. Well, that will wrap it up for FDL Central this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and watching. It's been one of our most active streams for a long time in the channel. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved in the chat as well. Chris, been a pleasure to have you on once again. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and see us. And it has been a genuine pleasure to have you on. I hope we get to do it again soon. And as most of you know, this is actually my final FDL Central for the foreseeable future. I will be unfortunately leaving as a streamer and caster come January. So it's not an easy decision. I have far too much school. Unfortunately, the life of a trainee teacher is real tough. So I will be doing that come next year. But in June, you can mark your calendars if you so wish. I will be back to do some summer FDL casting because I'm going to miss you guys, to be quite honest. I'm going to absolutely miss being a part of FDL, and I will promise I will watch as much as I possibly can and keep up to date with it. But yeah, as far as casting and hosting this goes, that's going to be that. So we also don't have a replacement right now for me as host of FDL Central. If that is something you would be interested in, if that is something you would like to get involved with, you can always message me. My DMs are absolutely open. So if that's something you would like to do, please talk to me about it, and we can organize something because I will definitely help out whoever it is that wants to take over. So thanks again. Absolutely appreciate everyone watching FDL Central over the last couple of weeks. It's been a blast to bring it to you, and bring on week 10, bring on the playoffs. Super excited for it. See you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and have a good night.